In this session, we're going to be talking about the felt sense of meditation and how to practice it. Before we get into practice, into our time of meditation, let's define the felt sense and what this really means and how it can show up in our practice, even on the daily. As meditators, and even as humans in our own human experience, we spend a lot of time developing this sense of awareness, loving kindness, and other contemplative practices that allow us to essentially build a bridge from what we're doing in our sitting practice in the moment to what's going on in the rest of our lives. So what happens on the meditation cushion essentially reflects what also is happening off the meditation cushion. And wherever you're experiencing mindfulness, that mindful moment translates to when we are unmindful or unfocused. So this type of focusing of the felt sense essentially works with the divine wisdom in our bodies. And it is something that is recommended to develop the skill of mindfulness. Essentially, the felt sense is very subtle as we come into greater awareness of our physical experience. So let me give an example to just help facilitate some grounding of what this actually is. So if somebody spills, for instance, a hot beverage on us, be it coffee, hot tea, hot water, there's immediately a very strong reaction in our physical presence where we can sense the pain right off the bat. And it can be a lot easier to notice this pain because it's a direct impact of discomfort on our body, where we immediately want to remove ourselves from the pain because it's uncomfortable. Of course, there's more biological understanding to that, but it's more than just the sensation itself, where it's not often clear what is happening in the moment right off the bat. If we do spill coffee, we get this shock. It usually takes a good second or two to kind of translate in our mind what is actually happening. So even if it's something super painful. So the felt sense is something that we experience in our physical bodies that we can tap into greater understanding of the here and now. And I want to read a quote to help again delineate and define the felt sense. Eugene Gedlin is the founder of what's called focusing practice. They refer to this philosophy of the implicit in describing the felt sense, stating that the implicit is a level of experience which has not yet taken shape or taken form, but constantly gives rise to novelty, to fresh forms, fresh patterns, and fresh experiences. So essentially, what Eugene is saying is that every time we invite the felt sense to come into greater focus, we are inviting in further wisdom and insight into what we are experiencing through working through some of the maybe physical problems that are showing up in the felt sense of our body. And we are able to move forward in more positive ways when we are acknowledging our own physical experience. And the Buddha does talk about this a whole lot, where he talks about that one of the ways to be mindful is to be mindful of the body. And that is one muscle that we have to develop. In science, it is known as two ways to sense: interoception and proprioception. If we think about the senses that we are gifted with as human beings, often we think about that we have 5 senses of the body, whether that be sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. But there's also other sensory experiences that we have as humans, inclusive of the vestibular with hearing and balance, proprioception and interoception. The felt sense experience comes into play when we think about proprioception and interoception, and it comes up even in a meditation practice in our experience with the body. Proprioception is how our body is taking up physical space in the area around us. Interoception is more of that inner awareness of what is going on inside of the body, whether that be awareness of our breath, awareness of the heat or cold on our skin, awareness of even sweat on our body, or even our heartbeat. So these two muscles of proprioception and interoception, and we kind of lean more into interoception with meditation, are things that are developed within the felt sense of our physical experience. And this is the building blocks of awareness. As yes, it is important to be aware of the mind, which the mind will always show up. The thoughts will always arise during our meditation practice. But at the same time, the body also shows up. And it's one way to tap into greater experience of who we are as humans, whether that be our implicit experience, as the quote was explained earlier, where our implicit experience would be something that we're still trying to figure out, and then we gain greater clarity of when we have a greater felt sense of awareness of our physical bodies and what's going on inside of them. So it is a muscle, just like any mindfulness practice, that has to be worked and has to be practiced. The more that we can gain a greater understanding of our physical body, the more we can practice mindfulness in other aspects of ourself, whether that be the felt sense of emotion, whether that be even the noticing of the thoughts. So for today's practice, we'll try this out together, where we'll work on the felt sense of the physical body by doing a very brief body scan practice, which invites you into greater interoception or curiosity with what you are experiencing in the here and now. And I'd also like to offer this caveat, and that sometimes the felt sense of the physical body might bring up even deeper feelings if there are experiences in our physical body that have been stressful or traumatic. If there are experiences in your physical body that feel like it's too much to access, that causes distress, know that you can pivot away from that physical experience, and you always have the choice to opt out and choose a different anchor of awareness. So let's say, and I'll use myself as an example, let's say I'm meditating and I come to greater awareness of my belly. Being that I've had a eating disorder in the past, the belly used to be very challenging for me to sit with in the felt sense of the belly. When it came time to be aware of that, or the meditation cued being aware of my stomach area, I would always choose a different resource into a different area of my body that felt more safe and that I could access in a more restorative way. So if something is coming up for you in this moment that feels like it is triggering or stressful, then you can choose a different resource of the physical body, but you can also choose a different anchor completely, whether that be the breath, sound, or even an external resource to notice more of the other senses that we've been gifted with, whether that be resourcing and looking outside of yourself at something in the room around you where you can gaze at steadily. So with that being said, let's go ahead and practice the felt sense of the physical body. So I invite you first to maybe close your eyes as option one. Option two is to keep your eyes open. So we start with choosing our gaze first. The next step is to choose your seat, whether that could be coming towards your sits bones, towards the edge of a chair, or if you're crisscross Sukhasana position on the ground. You can also do this lying down if that feels more comfortable for you right now. Once you've chosen your seat, give yourself some time to position yourself. And the anchor that we'll choose tonight is, again, the physical body, but we'll first enter into awareness of our breath. When you've given yourself some space to come in, begin with curiosity of your breath, to notice your slow inhales and exhales, letting the breath be natural. You can offer curiosity as well as the breath moves in deeper through the nostrils, towards your throat, and maybe even towards your belly. And you can stay with this awareness of your breath for really as long as you want. We'll move into our felt sense of our bodies. By noticing our feet first. Noticing your right foot, the connection of your foot maybe towards the earth, if you're seated, or if it's connected towards something if you're lying down. Notice your left foot, maybe a similar experience to the right. We'll continue up our legs. Come back into greater focus of your right leg, your calf, your shin, your knee, your quad, your hamstring, all the way up into the insertion point of your hip. You may notice sensations of your physical experience. There might be tightness in some areas, even some soreness, or could even feel light. Noticing your experience without trying to judge your body. Simply noticing in a neutral way. You notice the sensations that may arise, but not trying to create a story about it or attaching to that particular body part. And switch to guide your awareness now to your left leg, where you notice the entirety of your calf, shin, knee, quad, hamstring, up and towards your glute and the insertion point of your hip. Letting anything arise. And notice. You might notice greater sensations depending upon the day that you've had, whether you worked out a particular body part more, or whether there was lack of sensation with lack of activity. But continue up your body, noticing the very bottom, the baseline of your spine, and go up the back body, vertebra by vertebra, towards the very top of your spine. You can notice the entire back body, where extra tension may be stored just from being human. The natural experiences that may arise. And the felt sensations that exist as you continue to notice. And shift your awareness from your back body towards the front line of your body, starting at the base of the pubic bone, making your way all the way up through the center of your chest, to the very midpoint of your throat. And if anything ever comes up that feels as if it is causing stress or does not feel supportive within the felt sense of your experience, choose again something that does. You may notice the thoughts come and go, as with any meditation they will, but continuing to come back to the felt sense of your body. Noticing, perceiving, maybe offering greater observation of yourself. We'll continue into your right arm, noticing your fingers, your wrist, forearm, elbow, bicep and tricep. All the way up to the insertion point of your shoulder. And shift your awareness to your left arm, traveling the awareness up again, noticing the felt experience on one arm versus your other. Noticing that there might be even the tiniest shift of sensation. We'll continue all the way up toward your head. Noticing the felt sense in your jaw, your cheeks, your forehead, the back of your head, all the way towards the top. Just taking it all in here, noticing the felt sense of your entire body. Holistically examining your experience. And maybe sending some compassion into the areas of the felt sense of your body that might have felt more challenging to notice than other areas. We'll close out this experience by coming back to awareness of your breath. Offering yourself maybe a few sighs out through your mouth. And then resourcing by opening your eyes if you're closed. And just take some time to notice the room around you, come back into presence. The practice of meditation is now complete. And acknowledging the felt sense of the body, knowing that our body is always with us, yet we tend to cognitively bypass our experience of what's happening from the neck down. Where we stay with some of the stories and the thoughts of even what shows up in our meditation, as we want freedom from suffering. But ironically, sometimes the suffering is enhanced when we cut off awareness of the rest of our body and are only with our thoughts. So the felt sense of the physical body is one way to practice meditation, to enhance our mindfulness muscle and come into greater awareness of our overall experience. Thank you so much for listening.